Hi, thanks for joining me. One question that a lot of our clients ask is, could the U.S. still see a recession? Well, we got some big clues this past week on where it's headed, and I wanted to share them with you. So if you're confused about the economy, you're not alone. At the start of the year, warnings of a looming recession seem to be everywhere. But so far, to the surprise of many experts, the economy has proven to be remarkably resilient. On the second quarter, from April to June, the U.S. economy grew at an annual rate of 2.4%, and that's a faster pace than Wall Street economists expected. So according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis reading that they released on August 3rd, 2023, people have continued to spend money on both goods and services. Now that includes housing, healthcare, vehicles, and gasoline. In the first quarter of 2023, the U.S. economy grew at an annual rate of 2%, so that trend seems to be promising. Even the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, said that the outlook of the economists and other experts working at the central bank has gotten rosier. So what gives? Does that mean the recession fears are over? Well, here's what you need to know about the state of today's U.S. economy. Why are things looking better? For 2 years, inflation has been the dark cloud hanging over the economy, but we're beginning to see patches of blue sky. Annual inflation in June 2023 was just 3%. Now, that's a big improvement over a year ago when inflation was over 9%. What's more, the progress has come with very little pain in the job market, even as the Feds raised interest rates in the most aggressive fashion since 1980. The unemployment rate is currently 3.6%. And that's close to a 50-year low. And employers are still adding a couple of 100,000 jobs every month. Now, thanks to that strength, wages are now climbing faster than prices, so workers can actually buy more with their paychecks. And all of that is pretty encouraging and suggests that there might be a wider path to the elusive soft landing. And that's when inflation is tamed without a big jump in unemployment. So that seems contrary to what many were expecting. Absolutely. Economic forecasters have become significantly more optimistic. Now, surveys in January 2023 found that 42% of forecasters thought the U.S. was going to avoid a recession in the next 12 months. In another survey done in July 2023, 71% of forecasters said the recession is unlikely in the coming year. So it's amazing what 6 months can do. And you can see this in improving outlook clearly on Wall Street. At the start of 2023, markets were bracing for a tough year, especially with a debt ceiling showdown looming. There were rough spots for sure. Investors were rattled in March by the collapse of some mid-sized banks. But regulators stepped in, taking over Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, and then helped engineer the sale of a third lender, First Republic Bank, to J.P. Morgan Chase in May. Then the House Republicans and the White House averted what would have been a disastrous debt default. So those developments soothed a lot of nerves on Wall Street. And more recently, investors have taken stock of the economy, and they've been even more relieved. It hasn't turned out quite as bad as they first feared. And the result is that all three major stock indexes, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the NASDAQ, and the S&P 500, are in a bull market. They gained 20% from their most recent lows. So how are the experts looking at the economy now? Well, these days, the word that seems to be catching on in Wall Street corporate suites is one that also starts with an R, but it's not recession, it's resilient. Economist at Goldman Sachs has been unusually confident that the Fed would be able to get inflation under control without triggering a recession. But now Goldman is sounding even more optimistic, putting the odds of a recession at just 1 in 5. And again, the stronger job market is a big factor. So, are the recession fears gone? No, not by a long shot. Because inflation is still higher than the Federal Reserve would like, policymakers are expected to raise interest rates by another 1/4 percentage point sometime in August 2023. Now, these rates increase it makes it more expensive to get your car loan or to finance a business or even just to carry a balance on your credit card. And moreover, the ripple effects of rate hikes come with a lag. It's possible that the pain associated with higher borrowing has just not caught up with the economy yet, but eventually it will. So a number of forecasters, like those at Citigroup, still believe there's a recession on the horizon. It's just taking longer than expected to materialize. Certainly, there are some parts of the economy that are feeling a slowdown already. Manufacturing, for example, has been in a slump for a while. Even though consumers are spending money, they're spending it more on services, like eating at restaurants and traveling, and less on stuff. As a result, factories which make stuff are feeling the squeeze. And the prospect of a downturn in the job market is still possible. That would mean more layoffs than the economy has experienced so far. So how do we navigate this uncertain time? Well, unfortunately, despite all the recent positive news about the economy, the periods of uncertainty will continue for both regular folks and CEOs alike. But what are some of the things to watch? Of course, experts are going to closely scrutinize the key economic indicators, mainly inflation and the labor market. Company profits are another gauge. So far, only a fraction of companies have reported earnings for the most recent quarter. Another thing to watch is how companies handle their debt. Many corporations borrow money when interest rates are really low. How will they manage it when it comes time to refinance? Likely at much higher rates. Commercial real estate is another big question. There is a lot of unused office buildings because people are still working remotely. So what happens to the loans on that real estate? And what does that mean for the banks that financed them, especially the smaller regional banks? There are other potential speed bumps in the road. The extra cash cushion that people piled up early in the months of the pandemic is being whittled away. And payments on student loans that were suspended during the pandemic are about to start up again. That will leave less money in people's pocket to maintain this robust spending. So, as we tell our clients, all of this to say it could still be a very bumpy ride. Well, I hope I've shared some things that you didn't know and some things to consider. Have a good day.